talked about young men. You met a lot of young men outside of Madison Square Garden. Here's what we're talking about. This is a poll. Girls are now less likely than boys to say they want to get married. It's for one of the first times in American history, Benny. Girls in 1993, 83% said they wanted to get married, 76% of boys. Now, it's roughly the same for boys. 74% want to get married, and only 61% of girls want to get married. Let's just address that first. What do you think is the cause of that? Is that careerism? Is that feminism? What is all of a sudden women not so interested in getting married?
Housing. Housing is the key to everything, Will. I know this is going to sound crazy and people make fun of me for it, but housing. So I go and I talk to campuses. I'm going to go to Clemson tomorrow. And I was just at University of Florida. We were just at Auburn with 10,000 people in a stadium. And I asked the same series of questions. I asked the young men, yo, do you want to get married? Most young men want to get married. And by the way, the data that you just put up there proves it. The vast majority of young men want to be married. And I say, do you want to bring your wife home to the frat house? Is that where you're going to bring her on your wedding night? And of course, everyone laughs because it's preposterous, actually. In the mind of young Americans, they're bringing their wife home, to their house, with a picket fence, a yard, and door that locks the outside world to their castle. And I asked the women in the audience, I go, do you want babies? Do you want children? You know, I get it that it's a turning point event, but the vast majority of hands shoot up in these young audiences, these young women, and they say, yes, I want children. I said, do you want to raise your kids in an apartment building, in one room, with like 100 strangers in that building, people's dogs pooping in the elevator? Like, do you want that? And of course, they all, like, the women laugh because of that's insane. Like, of course, nobody wants that. Women want to have children, but you have to be able to provide the conditions for this.
Right.
For the conditions for marriage, as poll tested with me a couple dozen times at campuses across the country, is that you have to make home buying affordable. If you can't buy a home, you can't get married, you can't get started in life. Women don't want to have kids, and they don't want to start that path with a man who can't do those things. So the average age, the most horrifying data point in the country right now for our nation, should be that the average age of a first-time homebuyer is 40 years old, Will. Well, what is that? That's way past the window of optimum fertility for a woman. Women are well aware of this. I mean, you're buying a home for the first time and you're 40, that's past the window of time for being a young couple, being married, like having even the vitality to go raise kids and start a family. Nobody wants to really start a family at 40.